Good evening, everybody. Big John here. I'm looking for my glasses. So yeah, the warning signs have already been there over this kind of trouble we've had in Leicester, and behind me, our boys' flag. Behind me, they're attacking an Indian temple, and the police just let them do it. Now, if people can't see how one-sided this is, how absolutely unbelievable this situation is, that they allow the Pakistanis to attack a Hindu temple. Now, the way I get what's coming here now is that through immigration, we've had some extreme Hindus come here who've started the troubles. This is what's coming that I've seen on GB News and other news stations and whatever I've seen, videos I've seen. And not saying that the other side isn't extreme as well, but we've already seen the signs. A teacher being threatened at Batley with threats of violence, nothing done, nobody arrested. An investigation done that wasn't transparent because it never came out to members of the public. And I went to Batley. We talked to me and Tracy Hust and Peter Smith. We talked to mothers of children who go to that school. Good evening, Pat. Who go to that school. Please share, everyone. This is NHPUK TV live, Thursday, 7 p.m. We knew what was coming. The signs were already there. So Batley, the young lad in Huddersfield threatened with violence. There's been other kinds of threats. We've seen down in London where they were screaming out of cars that they want to kill Jewish women and rape all the daughters or whatever. They've said all that. Nothing really gets done. It's very dangerous. It's a dangerous precedent because obviously if nothing gets done, they think they can do it all the time. And as we've seen as well, the MEP campaign in Hollingwood, and the police allowed them to walk down, even though for 2 weeks beforehand they were saying they were putting out threats of violence against anyone who's turning up, and Tommy Robinson or whatever you want to say. So, the signs are coming. Are they going to be doing anything about it? Probably not. It'd be a bit like the riots where they just try and talk to all the community leaders and then afterwards make up some plan like I showed you on the Richer report by giving certain communities millions in grants. Absolute millions in grants. I think it was 8 to 10 million in grants went to just two sections of the community. So very dangerous stuff, this, very dangerous. It's already started kicking off in Birmingham since it spread to Birmingham. Will it spread to Oldham? I have no idea if it's going to be spreading to Oldham. But maybe this is something that I might have to take up with Andy Burnham at the next MERS meeting. You know what I mean? About why attacks on buildings are allowed and nobody does nothing. If this happens in Manchester and they're going to attack a Hindu temple, will the police do anything? Will they arrest people? Obviously, they should be arresting people, but, they don't do that, do they? Let me just sort my graphics out a bit better. It's a little bit better. Yes, Andy Red Volvo. So yeah, I'm streaming live to YouTube, my Facebook accounts. VK will be live. Twitch, and also Twitter. Well, I'm not streaming to my DLive. It's not letting me for some reason. But yeah, this is NHPUK TV Thursday. Again, so really dangerous times this now. The police really need to show a heavy hand and tell the community leaders that that's what they're going to do. That's what they need to do. And arrest people and jail people. If we let this carry on, then it just gives a precedent for all sorts of trouble to continue now. And then people will be thinking that they can do this sort of thing without getting in trouble like they do in other countries, not as civilized as us. But over here, if you riot, you get arrested. But as we've seen over the past few weeks, depends what colour you are for rioting, and it does. We've had black youths rioting in London and Nottingham, and hardly a peep on the paper. And then this thing now in Leicester, and there is a bit being said, only because it's so public. People are blaming social media. No, it's nothing to do with that. I would blame this is immigration, lack of integration, because that's mentioned. Everybody mentions that. The Muslim man mentioned it. The Hindu man mentioned it. The GB News man mentioned it. But obviously, we've been talking about it for years. They're only just talking about it now. So, yeah, it's worrying. It's worrying because I've seen this already. I've seen it in Batley. I've seen it in Oldham. And I've seen it in Birmingham. And it's not nice stuff, this. It really isn't nice stuff. Again, if the police don't come down on the heavy hand, it's just telling them communities that they can do what they want. And, you know, like, next thing, they'll be stoning someone to death in the street. They'll be chopping someone's hand off, or they'll be throwing somebody off a building. And is that the only time that people will say anything? Absolutely scandalous. Absolutely scandalous. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. The Roch. No, it won't. You're right. Don't work. It never has worked anywhere in the world. And, you know, like, if Pakistanis and Indians were fighting in Saudi Arabia, how do you think they'd be treated? If there was fighting if there's fighting anywhere outside the Western world, how would they be treated? Let's just think about that. But yeah, serious times coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Questions have to be asked, and if we feel that we're offending or we're saying something a bit too critical of a different community, then we need to carry on. We need to carry on talking like that. We need to make these people uncomfortable that they'll talk back to us, and then we can get some dialogue going. But there's no use stepping around them like the police are doing now. They're being absolutely true to the word of political correctness right now by letting the Muslims smash up a temple. We've had a new Indian temple built in Oldham. I don't know what sect it is. I don't know if it's the extreme sections of the Indian community. That's what they're saying. But I mean, if we go to the Indian community, I'll be honest to say, right, that they are minutely involved in the rape gang scandal. And when I say that is that I might be able to name 3 Indians out of 1,000 people who've been convicted of child grooming. That's all. So they're not high in that. We don't see Indians rioting or kicking off or anything. I haven't seen much in my lifetime. I've never seen hardly any of that. The only time I did see them standing up, protecting themselves, was when the London riots went on, when that Mark Duggan was killed. And they stood up and they guarded their area with sticks and all that from the rioters. I can understand that. But I've never seen any other kind of antisocial behavior from that section of the community. You know, I might be blind, but like I said, let's talk facts and figures. That, like, I can only name 3 Indians out of 1,000 men to do with the rape gangs. That's it. That's all. So it just tells you that these people are not, even though India has a big thing about misogyny against women, in over here, they're not prevalent in the rape gang and the cover-ups by the councils. Actually, Indians are looked down on. And why do I say that? Is that I were in London a while back, about 2 years ago, and there was an Indian woman coming up speaking against the BBC. And you can see a lot of this rhetoric by them blaming specifically nationalist Indian groups who've come over with immigration. The Islamic community are not taking anything to blame themselves. This is what I've seen. This is what I've seen. I'll look at the chat. It certainly is white knight. I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more there. Let's just get his It certainly is. Can't argue with you on that point. And don't matter what colour you are, you would see that multiculturalism doesn't work. But, you know, does anyone from the Indian section of the community or the Muslim section of the community would like to come on my show and tell me what's going on? Like I said, I've only seen what's on the news and that. I haven't made any concrete things or anything, but I just want to hear both sides. Otherwise, I'll just go and have to find someone to talk to. I've got a couple of Indian mates and Muslim mates I can maybe phone up and have a talk to them about this particular situation. That some of the media are saying and blaming it on a cricket game, but I think it goes a bit further back than a cricket game. I mean, if you know your history, you'll know on the trials that India was one of the first. It was the first country conquered under Muhammad. Unfortunately, or invaded. The Indians have never forgot it. I certainly know it, and it is well documented history. But you know, it's scary, guys. It is, because we've seen this across the country rise up. Like I said, Batley, Oldham already threatening riots over sex education in school and stuff like that. And we've seen this a lot. And I would have said on previous videos in the past 2 years that was going to get to this, where they're fighting each other. And I have said that. I know I have. Specifically when, I don't know, but I have said that. 40 watching. Thank you very much. Good evening. This is Big John here. NHPUK TV. 7 p.m. Thursday. We knew what was coming, guys. We knew what was coming. We've talked about these things. I've talked about them. Everybody's talked about them. Everybody who does live streams has talked about this. I've heard it from all sides, but people are only listening now. Thank you, Taff. Only listening now because it's a little bit on the news. But I tell you, this is to come. There's more to come off this. So I'll come off that subject now. Earlier on, yesterday, I went visiting my good friend, Billy Howarth, PAG UK. And if you know about the 3 girls case in Rochdale, the taxi ranks was a major player in that 3 girls case. So talking to Billy yesterday, I asked him about the taxi ranks in Rochdale. And this is what he said to me. He's got them boxed off because what he did, he started going around talking to the owners and getting to know the owners. And then since then, he's reported cabbies for doing dodgy stuff. The cab drivers and the cab offices now in Rochdale are more securely run. They have checks done on people and things like that, because he's gone out and made progress by talking to the cab owners, the ones who own the company. And you know, good evening, Chris. That was such a big thing that I asked him. And he said, no one else has asked him this, but I did, because I knew that the taxi ranks to do with the rape gangs in Rochdale was one of the biggest parts of it, and is one of the biggest parts of the county line trafficking and all that lot that these girls go through. And I believe Billy, because he's got documented evidence of what he does, everything. He's gone out catching paedophiles to do park patrols, school patrols. They're on the watch out for dodgy taxi drivers and stuff like that. And coming to the taxi drivers, the only ones he has problem with is Uber, because it's all done online. I'm not sure, Matthew. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that was good news to hear, considering it was the taxi ranks at the time of the 3 girl scandal was what everyone was focusing on. And the police might have done something, or the council might have said, like, you got to step up to these. But Billy's gone out on his own. He's not got the police to come with him. He's gone out as a member of the community, explained what he does to the cab guys and whoever they use the cabs for and stuff like that. And he feels free phoning a cab in Rochdale. Now, I wouldn't feel free phoning a cab in Oldham, because I just don't know him that well. But if he can feel free by phoning a taxi in Rochdale, then that's good news. So that was very interesting to hear that, because there's been problems before. Some lads from around Birmingham come up on one of the Children Matter demos, and they wanted to put pressure on the taxis getting CCTV in them, which isn't something that they have to abide by. It's up to them whether they put them in or not. And a lot of the taxi ranks in the Telford area wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it because it'd catch them out. And we know that the taxi ranks around Telford and the Birmingham area, Wellington and all that are corrupt, and they're part of the trafficking that was going on around Telford. I don't think they've been dealt with properly. I don't think there's good enough. But what Billy told me is a good thing for other people to look at doing. You go to the people who own the taxi ranks, say, look, you know, kids are getting abused from taxi drivers. We need to stop it. Otherwise, if I mean, you're not threatening anyone, but you can just say to some guy, but if one of your guys get caught, that's your business gone. And you with a black mark. So, you know, come on our side and let's sort it out. So maybe that's something else to go down and get into. And, you know, maybe I should look at that sometime in the future. Getting around to all the taxi firms and getting to know the bosses and that lot and tell them what I'm about. So that was good. Also, I know Billy is recruiting, and he's got some stuff going on around Greater Manchester right now, serious stuff, but obviously he needs volunteers and stuff like that. I'll do a separate video in a week or so, and we'll talk a bit more in depth about PAG UK, and I'll get Billy on as well to go through a few things to do with them. But yeah, so that was what I did yesterday, and that I felt happy that somebody is going out the way to do things behind the scene, like talk to these taxi ranks, get to know the bosses, tell them what you're all about. That we you know, if anybody says that they're all the same, then we know that that's not true. You know what I mean? So we can start by like getting to know these taxi firms. If you're in a town, if you think there's something going on, go down to your taxi firm and go and talk to the boss. You know what I mean? You're not being bad with him. It's better that we talk and try and get some communication. But what Billy said is there's not been a serious incident for 3 years in the taxis in Rochdale. And that makes me happy. That makes me know that there's girls who've because of his vigilance with these taxi guys, there's girls not being sexually assaulted or women not being sexually assaulted or less. Even it might still go on, but there is less. Like I said, He said in 3 years there's not been a major incident with any of the taxi drivers, according to him from his side. So that's good stuff. But we're all learning. This is the book of learning. We've got to be ready for it. Yes, there is a demo on Saturday. I can't attend it. I've got to look after my mum, but I've got something else on over the weekend that could be go viral if I pull it off. But no, demo on 24th. Stop the invasion. It's ridiculous that we're finding out that Albanians are coming over. We already know through Wakefield and that we had South Americans coming over, and there's no war down there. There's no war down there. Two different sections of the South American community were in Wakefield, as well as people from Africa. And obviously, we know a large amount of them now are Albanian, and they should be easily deported. But, you know, we don't know. They certainly are tough. They certainly are, you know, and no one's going to stop it, though. The Conservatives aren't and Labour aren't. And my voters, mate, my voters, the people who are going to get me in, have said all this to me. I don't have to say anything to them. They'll tell me. This is what they've told me. They've told me why we're sending billions to the Ukraine when old people are going to die this year. Why? Honestly, that's what they was telling me. That's a lot of my voting block. That's what they're telling me, and I have no problems, mate, with speaking about it. And it is on my leaflet. I'll get a couple of pictures of my leaflet up soon. Another week or so. Just keeping them out of the spotlight at the moment while we're canvassing. We've already had about 500 of them out, and we've been knocking as well. And the person who had the seat has just died in Oldham, and Jean Stretton. That means they could call a little local by-election in my area, and, you know, I would go for it. But I can make that call. I can push them to do a by-election. And I've got, it's more than 8 months. It's more than 6 months till the May elections. And if it was 6 months, the council could decide, well, we'll not do it and we'll do it next year. But I could apply for that by-election. So that may be up and coming, but we don't know yet. But campaign is going good. Confirmed about 350, maybe 350 at the low mark, 400 at the high mark of confirmed votes. People have been messaging me. I've already started a couple of. I've already contacted the council for some old and disabled people about antisocial behaviour. Emailed the First Choice owners about that. I'm also on a little thing about having some improvements done in one of the areas for disabled and elderly and infirm people. So that's up and coming. And I'm doing these now. I'm not waiting till I'm a councillor. I'm going to try and do these jobs now. And if I look back in the past, this is what I used to do in the past. I used to help people out like this. So that's ongoing. Still got a lot of knocking to do. And it's going to be a busy election next May. And hopefully I'll have people up for the week of the election or times before. I'll try and set out some dates where we can go canvassing and leafleting and stuff like that. And if anyone wants to get involved, then they can do. Taff, what I do, and I said this to one of my constituents, and at first he disagreed with me. But I said, why we're not getting coal and oil that we can get now and use that so that we don't go under. And, you know, if people are bothered, people are still bothered about climate and all that lot. Well, while we've got this oil and coal and we're safe for our fuel and that, we can still go and look down the green routes. If they want to build more windmills, they can still look at all that and do all that while we've got our coal out. And that's what I'd do. I think it was UKIP, and I think the power station is in North Yorkshire, and I'm sure that it can do coal and rubbish. That's how it works, coal and rubbish, this power station. And that's ready to use right now. Drilling for oil, I don't know if we have any oil platforms that are active at the moment, but, you know, while we're secure, if we're secure on our energy and fuel, we can look at other things. We can look at wind turbines if you want to look at wind turbines. We can still look at all this stuff, but we shouldn't be on our asses trying to do it at the same time. And anyway, what I would say is that there is no energy fuel crisis. They're doing this to push us more quicker to get to that net zero thing, you know, because now there'll be companies making money because governments should be at it. I want more wind turbines. I want more wind turbines. And then companies who do anything to see what, so more sea turbines, what more sea. So that we've got an energy and fuel crisis to push us more to getting all that wind farm stuff up. So that's what I think. I think it's just a blag myself. And if we look at what's happened in the past couple of years, then it'd be a good thing to say that. It'd be a good thing to say. George Benson. They've got thousands. On GB News, I heard a say that China have got 3,000 active now coal stations, and like you've just said, one a week is being built as well. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Welsh coal, best in the world. Good evening, Peter Smith. Yeah, so I know it's mad, in it, and you know, the story is with me. Story is 2012. I wanted to vote for somebody when I came back to Oldham from Bradford because I had a bit struggled up there in Bradford for someone to vote for. So I come down, I looked through, and I seen UKIP, and I'd heard of them, looked through all the things. So I phoned one of the councillors, and he was son of a Polish immigrant. He was with a Polish name, son of a Polish immigrant, and he come down. Peter Klawowski, I think his name was. So he come down, and we had a chat, and I had my A4 pad like that, and he had on one of the pages were all my questions about what I wanted to ask him to do with UKIP. And one of the top ones was climate change. Now, even though I wouldn't say I'm a climate change denier, but I do understand about the climate and stuff like that. And I asked him about it. And this is what he said to me. He said, if tomorrow Britain went fully green, he said by the day after, China would be pumping out more and as much as England didn't, or the UK didn't pump out that day before, they would continue to. Since then, I don't have anything to do with climate change. And when I've argued with him in Manchester, I said, what about China? All I say is, what about China? What about China? Because no one's doing nothing to China. And we still give them money in foreign aid, by the way. And they just keep pumping it out. And what is it? England is 1% of the world's pollution. You know what I mean? And look at the state of China. Unbelievable. Birds of prey. Yeah, no doubt, yeah. Not just birds of prey, there'd be other birds that'd be killed by them. And I just want to say something about your wind turbine. So It's steel. I'm guessing main steel, and the blades are plastic, super fiberglass. The thing is, this. Listen to what I'm saying now. Every piece of plastic ever made is still here on this earth in one form or another. It might have broke up into minute forms, but it's still here because it can't be recycled. And them fiberglass blades on them things can't be recycled. You can't burn them down or melt them down. It just don't work like that with plastics. So every piece of plastic that was ever made on this earth is still here, unless it was fired into space. And there must be a cost on how much it needs to create a full blade. The stand it goes on and all the blades. There must be we must be polluting the atmosphere with what we do to make them, because it's not made by electric. We have to have oils, we have to burn, we have to heat up, we have to do all these things to all this. So, and I don't know the figures myself, but would the life of one of them blades give you more than what it costs to make it? I seriously doubt it. George. Tony Heller. I think I've heard of that, Tony Heller. Been an interesting week. I was in Hull as well at the weekend, and obviously Operation Marksman, if you know about it, they've reopened it, but it's not so much reopening Operation Marksman. They've reopened a new operation, I forget what it's called, and they're investigating Operation Marksman, how that was conducted, and then talking to all the girls again. Now, remember in Hull, they said there was 1 or 2 girls involved, right? And I talked to the main man in Hull, Ian, and he's talking to 9 girls. He's just talking to 9 girls. That's all. And the report on Operation Marksman goes around 1 or 2 victims. Don't mention any others. The one in Oldham mentions 10, 11. When one of the victims is telling me it's like hundreds, or at least 100 girls. So another repeating thing here now in all the things how they underplay it. Exceptionally well looked after in Hull, and I did actually meet one of the survivors of the grooming gangs up there, and I'm not going to say a name or anything. And but all I'm going to say is that when we was talking, I asked about a family, and she said to me, a family's broken, So, and it's one of the biggest things I see in how vulnerable our girls are is when these families are broken. We just do not have. M Black, email me, and we'll swap numbers. I have got someone out. I'm due to go to Doncaster soon because I've got someone up there to see. I'd like to go to Hexham, where they made the Flying Scotsman, do a bit of history there next to the train station. But yeah, email me, M Black, and we'll swap numbers and that. The email's up there. So yeah, very scary, and a big realization. We've talked about our families before. We've talked about how when they break up our families, we're easily there to pick us off. And I've seen this not just with the girls who've been abused. I've seen this with the mums. I've seen this with the dads. I've seen this with other parts of the families, the grandmas and all that, how they're easily picked off when families aren't together. So it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing. But we're due to go up again soon. But yeah, I can't fault the people in all. I can't fault them. The stuff they're doing, the places they've got. I met a lot of guys who were intimately involved in what's going on in Hull, and I just can't say enough about them. What I will do, I've talked to Ian, and we'll get him on a stream sometime, and we'll talk about all, and we'll talk about some of the things they're doing. You know, they're helping girls, are setting one girl up with a flat now and getting all stuff for a flat, you know, and stuff like that. And they're supporting them on like a ground level, which they do need. But I was impressed. I was impressed with their operation. I was impressed with the people I talked to. The young girl, the young woman I talked to, I was highly impressed with her as well. She'd agreed to like cut down on drinking, and we did go to a working's men club, but she did not touch a drop of drink all night, just orange juices. And it just showed me that she's putting effort in to get a life back on straight and stuff like that. So it was really good to see. We don't always see this side of it. We really don't always see this side of it. We always see the bad side and stuff like that, and we don't see the side where people are going out of the way to look after these girls, support them and stuff like that. We don't see that a lot. We always see the bad side, and it's good to see the good side of it every now and then. Like I've been fortunately enough to see myself. The AVTAF, honestly, I mean, in Oldham, the other week we did a stream outside the council offices, and there's the deputy council leader is called Abdul Jabbar, and in 2019, when he was making his ways to get his council seat, he's walking round canvassing with a convicted paedophile, and he would have known that this guy was a convicted paedophile. He's got the Labour badge on. He even had a picture next to Jim McManaman. Jim McManaman, I don't know everyone who I have a picture with. Fair enough, I'm not saying he didn't, but this is a guy. So Abdul Jabbar would have known. Abdul Jabbar also was a good friend of Daddy Shabir Ahmed, need I say. 3 girls scandal. So, and you know, they walk around like it's all right for them to do these things. You know what I mean? And it's mad tough that, like, when it's a white guy who's been the paedophile, everyone will shout about it, but no one says nothing when it's a Muslim guy. Honestly, that's Oldham. That is Oldham for you, mate. That's Oldham. You know, and nobody said anything. I didn't see any Muslim councillors at the gay pride event. I don't agree with it. You know, I'm against LGBT in schools and all that lot, but it was at a local pub in Oldham that I visit regular with my mum. We visit there regular, and we went out and had a drink, and I were dressed up. But I did go up and did some filming and got to talk to people in the area. That's what I wanted to go up for, talk to people in the area. And I mean, there was a couple of guys there I knew really well, and they don't do any LGBT rubbish, but to them it was a party. You know what I mean? But I remember these 2 guys said, you know, John, we don't roll that way. That's what they said. Don't roll that way. No, we don't. It is a party, but they should be keeping it behind closed doors and not so visual and sexualization in front of our kids. And this is what 2 guys said to me the Pride Day in Oldham, but there were no Muslim councillors there. I didn't see many there supporting the Queen or going to the Queen's thing. Whether you like the Queen or not, half our council have got OBEs and MBEs. So the Queen's tapped them on the shoulder. And all these people who've got them, they weren't there mourning for the Queen. The hypocrisy in Oldham is astounding, ladies and gentlemen. It's astounding. I don't think people get it sometimes. I know we have issues in other areas, but I mean, Oldham issues are well documented going back 50 years, 50 goddamn years. And, but like, police won't just do nothing. I can say that Great Manchester Police now are not going to be painting the cars in rainbow colours at rainbow events. Right? It's Great Manchester Police. Oldham Police are not painting cars with pride things and having them at pride events. That's what they've officially said. Yeah, that's what they've officially said. But I don't know about the rest of the country. But that's going to be more. When I get in the council, I'll push for, like, the police aren't not to be jumping around in LGBT stuff. And if I put a vote in for that, I get all the votes off the council because half of them are Muslim. They don't want it neither. I don't want it. They don't want it. But, you know, we'll have to see how we go. But anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Taff. Very chatty in the chat there. M Black, don't forget, email me and we'll swap numbers. And I am due up Doncaster soon. I've got to go. I've got a big story up there, and a mate who's been absolutely victimized and bullied off the police, and I'm just not having it. I'm just not having it. But whichever area you're in, the police and councillors are doing question times where they talk to the members of the public. What I suggest you do is you look and see if our Great Manchester Mayor is doing a question time around Greater Manchester, and it starts next week. Find it out in your area if there's any of these going on. If so, get signing up for them and get to the question times. I'll guarantee that if you've got a decent question, you can get it asked there. Remember, I've already called the police sex offenders, crooks, gangsters, criminals. I've talked about political correctness. I've talked about the violent knife crime we've got with youths in Greater Manchester. I've said all these things to the chiefs of police and Greater Manchester Mayor. And I also got help from my friend Bernie, whose house fell down, through going and talking to the mayor. And things are getting... As soon as we talked to the mayor, things started happening for her, and to do with her house falling down. So I can only say these things are good, especially if you're confident in asking a question. So these are public meetings between the police, councillors, and maybe your crime and commissioner and your Greater Manchester mayors, or your city mayors and stuff like that. And they're having these public meetings now. And honestly, don't matter who you are, what group you stand for, get to these meetings and get them called out. You know what I mean? I'm National Housing Party UK, and that's how I'll be introducing myself every time at these meetings. Fortunately for us, all ours are recorded live, and you can go on the Great Manchester YouTube channel and see Oldham, Trafford, and Bolton that I went to. And I said something in all three places. In Trafford, a woman who was online on the on-screen online section came about and said about gender violence. And it was a good one for me because I jumped at front and I said, what's happened to Sarah Hussein, who were burnt to death outside her house on a violence? Nobody said nothing. Honestly, you couldn't believe how silent, and people were shocked when I talked about it. But after I talked about that, a Muslim guy who's from Oldham, a businessman, come straight up to me and started talking about it too. So I am doing the right thing. I must be. If he came and talked to me, he talked about the case. He said he remembered the case, and what he said to me is that the woman was like prostitute. He's sort of like, she was a bad woman. That's what he said to me. So that just goes to drive me more that she was killed in honour violence. But yeah, I've managed to say all this to Great Manchester Mayor's chief of police and everything. Now, I don't know about other people, but I've actually gone out my way to go to these places to set his finger, to do these kind of things. Nothing stopping Big John. Nothing's stopping me. One of my next questions, I mean, it's Mer's question time next week, and I'm booked in for it, 29th, I think it's on. But I don't know whether to ask about the trouble in Leicester, and if that goes on up here, will they arrest people? If Hindus smash up a mosque, I want all the Hindus arresting, and if the Pakistanis smash up a temple, I want all them arresting. They haven't arrested anyone, as far as I know, in at Leicester so far, or they're not doing anything with it, but we need to. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. NHPUK TV live. This is Big John, 7 p.m. We knew what was coming, guys. We knew what was coming. The signs was already there. The signs were... Patrick Christie was saying it tonight. Batley Grammar School, we've been saying the signs were there. I was saying at Batley that what was coming, and this was coming, and I mean, ethnic minority on ethnic minority. And, oh, wait, I've got to... I can't stop yet. I've got to find... let's have a look for Northwest UK. We have a Northwest NHP UK site. As you've seen, it's had a couple of videos up. One of James at Middleton Hotel, and then another one where another activist is talking to a member of the public. They've had some good views as well on the videos. There's more coming up. There's going to be some more stuff up about me there. But let's get... So Claudia Webb, MP, yeah, MP for Leicester. An MP who threatened to throw acid in a member of the public's face. And I can tell you, because I've checked, I watched a video and I've checked the links, right? There's never been an MP who's done that worse of a crime in the UK until Claudia Webb. There's some MPs have been jailed, but it wasn't for violent behaviour. It was for, like, protesting against policies and stuff like that. But I've never heard of it in all my years, and there never has been an MP that has been convicted of such a serious offence still a member of Parliament. And this is someone who's supposed to... So anyway, let's get... I'll share it on the stream. I'll share the thingy on, and we'll have a laugh over her tweets. You just couldn't make this woman up. You couldn't. I mean, Diane Abbott's got nothing on her. She hasn't. So we know that there's... Oh, wait, don't trust them. I don't trust anybody, Taff, but the thing is, I just love calling out the police in public. I really do. I'm the mayor, and I've got more questions to come to them, and they'll have to answer the questions, because they're not questions from a point of view that I'm a hardcore right-winger. They're just like natural questions. I'm concerned that kind of violence in Leicester is going to come to Greater Manchester, and I should be, because we've got a big Pakistani community up. So I should be able to ask that question to Andy Burnham. I should be able to talk about it without being branded or anything, but we'll see. So, like many Leicester East residents, I am concerned about ongoing reports of hate-filled clashes, including those which emerged today in Leicester. It is vital that we work together to share the message of tolerance so that we can bring our communities together. I'm also aware of far-right elements who are intent on using social media and other online communication to incite religious and racial hatred, deliberately designed to cause fear, alarm, and distress in order to provoke a reaction. Well, if she means that people are talking about it on social media and that, yeah, but I haven't seen anybody say anything bad. I haven't seen anyone, like, stoke it up or anything. I mean, if I was leader of the country, I'd be threatening every single one of the Hindus and the Muslims that they'd get deported if they didn't sort things out. That's what I'd be saying to them if I was Prime Minister, but I'm not Prime Minister. Or they'd have lengthy sentences. I'd be giving them all 30 years each. That's what I'd be saying, 30 years each, because you just ignored us and started up. So Claudia Webb seems to think it's a right-wing, far-right thing. I mean, but she could be mistaken. I mean, I don't think she's very clever anyway, but far-right, there is a far-right element in what's happening right now in Leicester. And that far-right element is far-right Hindu or Indian extremism and far-right Pakistani extremism. Don't think far-right just means white. It does. Oh, don't think far-right just means white. That's a little bit of a good slogan. I have to write that down. But I mean, if I always say that to a lefty, no, you don't know what you're talking about. They're not far right, but they are. They are. What? I mean, the Islamics are against gender identity. They don't do anything to do with drag queens. They don't like gay people. They throw them off buildings in other countries and that. Now, at the moment, anyone who disagrees with gender identity is far right. That's what they're all saying. That's that's the name coming out for anyone who disagrees with gender identity. But just remember, don't think far right is just white, because it's not. But yeah, so interesting stuff. I've seen a couple of videos on GB News. They had a Muslim on and an Indian person on, and like I said, there was the Muslims were saying it was in Hindu extremism brought in by immigration. But what can we say? What can we say about that? What can we say? But anyway, thank you very much. It's Big John, NHPUK TV. Don't forget, you're going to mail me, aren't you? M Black. Just make sure you email me, and I'll get back to you. Email me after this so I can get back to you before end at night. But yeah, I'm definitely want to plan to come Doncaster. I've got something else going on there, but I want to do a bit of history around the in Exham, and but no doubt I know there's other things going on up there. But yeah, but thank you very much, guys. Good night from me. I don't think I'll be on Sunday. I'm going somewhere, but I will definitely get a Sunday back with Paul Rimmer. And I want to talk about the little 9-year-old girl who's been killed in Liverpool, who's been shot by gangsters, and no one's coming forward. There's a £200,000 reward. Now, if people want the death penalty for child abuse, shouldn't we be giving a death penalty to that guy who killed that 9-year-old? He knew what he was doing. He was a gangster chasing someone else, and he's ran into someone's house and started shooting. Shouldn't he have the death penalty if we give death penalty to child abusers? Just something to think about. Something to think about. I've gone on about capital punishment before, and I've talked with, I'll say his name, I don't want to. Well, I'll say his name. I talked with Paul Golding about it on a stream, and I am more against capital punishment than I am for it, but I have reasons why, and we'll talk about them another time. But yes, don't forget, don't think far right is just about white. All right? That's it. Thank you very much, guys. Good night, and thank you. Oh, before I go, I'll just plug. Obviously, check my description. Our party website's on there. I put a couple of links into Claudia Webb article and another one telling you about the difference between Muslims, Hindus, and extremism. high level of Indian extremism that they're claiming is here. But them are in the description. And all our social media pages. We've got 3 Twitter pages. We're going to soon be having a Scottish one coming up soon. So, yeah, please check my descriptions. Join us on Telegram and join us on any of the other platforms you see there. But thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming on. Good to see you there, Taff. Summertime, Sue. M. Black, Matthew. I didn't see Arlene. Oh, no, she's out. Peter, Lenore. Mr. G. Thank you very much. George Benson. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.